Janice, are you there?
At your service, sir.
Give me some of that dating foolishness.
Will do, sir.
Guys, what world do you live in? What world do you live in? She is now, the average 22, 23-year-old, especially if she has Instagram, has access to more men and the availability of more men than any 50-year-old woman has ever had. She has more validation, more likes, more comments from a man than a 50-year-old has ever had in her entire life. And you're telling me you're choosing a young woman because she's going to be less sexually promiscuous. Oh my goodness. Guys, sometimes you're so dumb it hurts my soul.
Welcome to Manosphere Highlights Daily. Shout out to Mr. Michael for this video. This is his message. Hello Manosphere Highlights Daily. I'm Michael, all the way from Kenya, East Africa, and been watching your channel since its creation. Thanks for all the good you are doing for the brotherhood. I saw your video on Sadia Khan, and I remembered this one video I saw a while back on her saying some bizarre stuff. She is shaming men for wanting younger women, also diagnosing young women with daddy issues and trauma for wanting older men. She herself hit the wall and is now peeing on the dating pool. Below is the video. Thanks for everything. Mr. Michael, thank you for your support and your video requests. Salute! We have a lot of video requests in the queue, but the reason we addressed Michael's request immediately is because we were already working on a follow-up video on Sadia Khan. So this request fits perfectly into this video. Now this is not a diss video. What I have to say about Sadia Khan is that she's good. And what I mean with that is her canny ability to garner attention. You will agree with her most of the time. However, she will sprinkle the element of controversy in her statements, and she does this deliberately. And we'll let the most Googled man on the planet explain how this works.
I'll give the game away to the entire YouTube world why I've destroyed absolutely everybody in any debate ever. I say things that they know are true and that they agree with, but I say it in a way that angers them emotionally, and they get caught up in their brain because they're saying, he's saying the truth, but I'm pissed off by how he's saying it. So I want to argue with him, but he's right. So instead of saying men are physically stronger than women, I'll say females are weak. Females are weak. Well, females are weak. Females are weak. Men are strong. Females are weak. No, but females are, but I'm right. And he knows I'm right. But he's mad now. And so is she. And they sit there, and you'll happen on Dave Portnoy. You end up having a whole group of people sitting there trying to argue. Well, some women are strong like men, trying to argue the fact that women are as strong as men physically because I've emotionally controlled them all and upset them all. And then I do a podcast and I get billions and millions of views and unlimited likes against good debaters like Dave and his little crew by just emotionally controlling them. It's an emotional game. I wreck them.
So fellas, there's nothing to worry about if you understand the game she's playing. Look right here in the corner. See Patreon for full clip. You have to give people a reason to support you on Patreon, a reason to watch your videos. So she's fully aware of the buttons she's pushing. Check this out.
So naive. So naive. You're so lucky you have me to tell you this, because honestly, I'm like a sister to you guys, because the way I'm whistleblowing these girls and you come for me and tell me like I'm crazy, but you are so lucky to have me, honestly.
This is gold. So what we're going to do is give our take on her controversial thoughts regarding men wanting to date younger women. Let's talk about it. Now it's time for us to get into this and do what we got to do. Because we men, ain't we? We men, ain't we?
If you meet a girl who's 30 or 40, she's going to have loads of baggage, loads of trauma. We don't want to deal with trauma. We want someone with less trauma, so let's go for someone as young as possible. A healthy, emotionally stable 22-year-old is not usually physically attracted to a 45-year-old or even a 40-year-old. A 22-year-old tends to see a 35-year-old as an old man.
Are you sure about that, Doc? Let's continue.
Yeah, but when she starts to blur the line with older men and sexuality, it suggests that there is some childhood trauma potentially regarding her father. Because the reality is, if you had a stable father figure in your home, you wouldn't be able to sexualize a man that looks around the same age as your father. Men who have good relationships with their children as well can't sexualize that kind of woman, because they've got women, they've got children that age, and they know how stupid their children are, and they know how naive their daughters are, and they know how much they would hate it if somebody their age was dating their daughter. So they have a healthy perception of reality. So if that 22-year-old is even dating that 44-year-old, you're thinking, oh, less trauma. It's embedded trauma. The trauma exists pre-men.
This may sound very cute, and if this is what you want to hear, it might be like music to your ears. However, what she says is false. Why?
Why?
Because attraction is not a choice. That's the first thing you need to learn when it comes to that dating foolishness. Check this out.
When you were younger, did you ever date a guy that was significantly older than you?
That's so funny. I was going to ask you the same.
You first.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I think that the oldest was 20 years older than me, and I was 25. And I remember thinking, wow, this is a big age difference. And what kind of like helped me get over that hump is that the guy was very good looking.
That helps.
Yeah, he looked amazing for 45. Like he had muscles, like he was a personal trainer. But I think something in me knew that it was not sustainable. So I was just having fun for a while.
Because you're 25.
Because I was 25.
I'll come back to the sustainable part later, but it's worth noting that these two ladies criticized men for dating younger women, while they themselves dated significantly older men in their early 20s. Which is hypocritical, because now that they're older, they don't want men their age to dismiss them for their younger versions. You heard what she said, that men look good. And we all know men age like fine wine. And to take it a step further, this man did not fall off at 45. He's in great shape that adds to his sexual market value. Attraction is not a choice, and women cannot help but feel attraction to good-looking men. Let's take it a step further.
I think in my 20s, maybe that was the appeal also of like dating older men that, being honest, guys in your 20s are kind of
Janky.
They are. And they don't really know how to like
Take care of you.
No. Like at all. So, and they don't even know themselves and they're just not serious. And like these older men, they come in and they seem to have it together. And then surface wise, and then you start peeling back the layers and you're like, there's a lot of issues here that I cannot resolve and I don't have time to resolve. And so you know, the advantage of being in your 20s as a woman is that you can go to the next one. Now it gets a little bit more difficult because the pool gets a little bit smaller, and those men that are in their 30s and 40s, they're like looking at the 20-year-old girls.
Women are naturally attracted to men with resources. This has nothing to do with daddy issues. This is biology. Sadia Khan is using harsh shaming language to divert men from their biological instincts. The older these women get, the harsher their shaming language becomes, because they know what time it is. You heard these women say it. Their dating pool gets smaller as they get older, and they lose their desired men to younger women, and they hate it. Stop the foolishness. Don't ignore biology. Women are attracted to a man's physical appearance, status, and resources. First question a woman will ask a man is, what can you do for me? Leonardo DiCaprio can do a lot of things for women. And even though everybody and their mama knows he's not gonna marry these women, they keep coming. Why?
Why?
Because attraction is not a choice. Big age gaps have always been a part of human history. Let's take it a step further.
Another thing about the red pill advice is they say that as a woman ages, her body count is so high now, and therefore we don't want a girl that's slept around with so many people. We want a young, fresh girl. Let me break it to you boys. The average 23-year-old girl has slept with more men than the average 53-year-old woman. Let that sink in. We're living in a time, and I know this because I used to be a teacher for many years, and I couldn't believe the sexual promiscuity amongst 14, 13, 12-year-old girls, because here's what they had. They had access to Snapchat. They could send nudes of themselves to older boys or whatever it is from the age of 11, 12, nudes or whatever it is. Well, it's technically child pornography. They would start so young. And they're living in an era where there's no negativity attached to sleeping around. It's seen as liberating.
You see, we are agreeing here. We agree that younger women are much more promiscuous than their predecessors. If you played ball, she just set us up for an alley-oop dunk, and she is about to dunk on us.
So by the time a girl is 23 years old, I promise you she's slept with more men than a 53-year-old woman. Because a 53-year-old woman grew up in a time where she was shamed for sleeping around. There was no sexual liberation. There was a sanctity attached to sexuality. A 22-year-old grew up in a time where Snapchat, twerking, wearing promiscuous clothes, going out, being on social media was all normalized. So if you think that, I'm going to be with a 21-year-old, she's going to have low body count. Guys, what world do you live in? What world do you live in? She is now, the average 22, 23-year-old, especially if she has Instagram, has access to more men and the availability of more men than any 50-year-old woman has ever had. She has more validation, more likes, more comments from a man than a 50-year-old has ever had in her entire life. And you're telling me you're choosing a young woman because she's going to be less sexually promiscuous. Oh my goodness. Guys, sometimes you're so dumb it hurts my soul. Like, it actually hurts me because these girls are growing up on pornography. They're having threesomes by the time they're 19. And you're telling me she's going to be less promiscuous. You're so naive. So naive. You're so lucky you have me to tell you this because honestly, I'm like a sister to you guys because the way I'm whistleblowing these girls and you come for me and tell me like I'm crazy, but you are so lucky to have me, honestly.
This is pure gold. This is a 3-minute clip and she didn't provide much context. As we all know, context is everything. She used an extreme example within a larger dynamic to create some shock value and to get us all riled up. Look at that Patreon. Men don't date younger women just because of body count, and she knows that.
So, generally speaking, the whole age gap thing, I am never going to deny that men are attracted to fertility and youth. Absolutely, they're attracted to it.
This remains the foundation, fellas. Biology. She knows how this works. Attraction is not a choice. It doesn't matter what a 53-year-old woman does. She cannot compete with a 23-year-old. The foolishness.
But if you want to build a connection, which the red pill advice never teaches men how to build connection and how to build emotional intimacy. But if you want to build a real connection with a woman, don't use women as status symbols. Don't use them as a shortcut to looking like a hot guy or looking like a successful guy. Use women as a way and a tool of somebody who allows you to completely be yourself, somebody who you can truly connect with. And in that process of connecting with a woman, you will start reconnecting with yourself.
Once again, she makes some valid points. Dating coaches and pickup artists often focus on attraction and getting dates, but don't necessarily provide guidance on how to maintain a healthy relationship. Similarly, our focus is on protection rather than teaching you how to get into relationships with women. Now, as promised, let's revisit the idea of a sustainable age gap in relationships. And this is where culture comes into play. In Western societies, big age gap relationships are often viewed differently compared to non-Western countries. This is why I understand why Michael from East Africa sent us this video, as Africa has some of the widest age gaps between married couples worldwide. It's a matter of cultural perspective, and that's why I've taken my talents overseas. Different cultures and societies lead to different behaviors and norms, which is why it's important for you to consider how this information applies to your own life. Ultimately, it's your life, and no one else can live it for you. Listen to all, but follow none. Just remember, we made this channel for men. That's why we started this channel. Not because we hate women. It's because men's voices need to be heard, and men need to be educated on the foolishness that's going on, so they can protect themselves at all times. The channel is called Manosphere Highlights Daily. We highlight men's issues, female nature, and the effects of society on human behavior. We encourage you to become the best man that you can be. But if you want to know how to do push-ups, then you have to go to the push-ups channel. If you want to know about money, you have to go to the money channel. I've said it many times on this channel that I took my talents overseas. I had to look for content that could help me with that. So I watched a combination of channels. Push-up channels, money channels, travel channels, language channels, and manosphere channels. Everything that I had to do to become the best version of myself. You can do anything if you put your mind to it. You know why? Because we men, ain't we? We men, ain't we? Manosphere, we working. Protect yourself at all times. This video has officially been highlighted.